Welcome to Drunken Talks Arsenal. Today we are going to talk a bit about our upcoming fixture, Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Yeah, that is a draw for the Champions League quarterfinals. As if you haven't noticed, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Me personally, I'm not really that positive about it, but also not really negative. The moment we're speaking and the moment of recording, Bayern Munich is actually losing 1-0 to I think one of the last places in the German league. I don't know what that means for Arsenal. Maybe Munich will use that game to take advantage or like to turn it around against us, or maybe Bayern is just in a bad spell right now at the moment. But let's talk a bit about why. Let's talk a bit about the negatives and the positives, the positive and the negatives about playing home and away in the Champions League. We play our first game at home, right? And a positive thing for us, which maybe might be a negative thing for the Bayern Munich fans, is the fact that they can't bring any fans to our stadium. I mean, as we both probably all know, are probably going to be some ways that Bayern will get some fans in the stadium, but probably not largely enough to make a difference when it comes to the fans having the overhand. Also, you can't obviously buy a ticket for like all seats next to each other because we have a ballot system, and also, Bayern fans can't just simply buy an entire seat row in a stadium, because if it was that easy to get Arsenal tickets, we would have all gotten some Arsenal tickets, probably. But the thing is, the first game against Arsenal in the Emirates, the Bayern Munich fans don't have any fans, to be fair, there in the stadium, which means Arsenal can fill it up, and we have a full capacity in the Emirates of our own fans, which might create some good atmosphere. I think the first positive thing I want to talk about is the fact that when we play home first, of course, if our players have any nerves of course being the next stage of the quarterfinals, and of course our first game at home, it's quite useful in that. I mean, the fans can take away a bit of the nerves, maybe a bit of the occasion, and maybe our players might play their own game against Bayern in the first leg, because we have so much home support. We don't have any away fans, basically. Not even basically, that's just the fact. As I said, we'll probably sneak some fans through of Bayern, but mostly it's filled with Arsenal fans. So that might be a good positive when it comes to the nerves and the occasion. Maybe the fans can play it down a little, and then we can play our own game and maybe play like we're playing in the Premier League, which if we do, of course, it would be quite good. Of course, a Bayern we play and not Porto or any other defending team, which means we can probably play our own game if Bayern doesn't sit back and defend a lot, which Bayern could do, since the second leg is at Bayern's home. And of course, playing our own game and playing without nerves can resolve in goal difference. If we can get 1 or 2 goals, if we can get an early goal and then maybe another goal, or even 2 or a 2-0 or a 3-1, which gives us a 2-0 lead when we go to the Bayern stadium, I think that could help quite a lot, and then we can be maybe the team that sits back. I don't really like seeing that football, to be fair, but like maybe we can hold on to a 2-0 lead in the Bayern stadium, which I wouldn't mind. So I think that's also a positive about the first game at home. Taking away the nerves, getting a bit of goals, maybe 1-2, 3-0. I think it's easier said than done, of course, but Bayern isn't really there this season. 10-point gap in the Bundesliga, and as it stands right now, even more if Leverkusen win. But I think that could also be a big factor in the Champions League, 2-leg draw. I think, of course, we have then, if we win 2-0, a 3-1, or any 2 goal difference, that will, and Bayern has a bad game at their home, or at least we have a better game than Bayern at their home, right? Then that means we have a 2 goal difference. And let's say if Bayern would play the first leg at home and we would play the first leg away, and Bayern has a good game, we don't, then we go to our stadium, of course, but Bayern will just sit back. I think the first tie could be really important, because the team that plays the first tie at home can obviously get a goal difference because they have their own fans there. And a second leg, it's all about defending the home difference. As we saw against Porto, we only scored 1 goal, and that's how close it can be to the Champions League. So if we can get a 2 goal difference and Bayern can score 1 goal, then it's 1 goal, but still true. So I think that might be a real good positive in the Champions League. I'll go to the negative of the home away game in the Champions League. I think there's one big negative that's quite obvious. If we have a bad game at our home, at our place, at the Emirates, and we go to the Bayern Stadium, then, then it's gonna be really difficult. It's gonna be really difficult. But yeah, I mean, it's a Champions League, so it's a knockout cup as well. So you can't really have bad games. You can of course draw, but that wouldn't even be positive because we're playing home. And I think home games you have to win in the Champions League if you want to get somewhere. So if we have a bad game and if we have nerves perhaps because of the occasion, because of a quarterfinal of the Champions League against Bayern, and we are a bit off that day, our players don't really perform to their levels. And of course, Martinelli, if Martinelli is still injured, I mean, that could be a really difficult two-legged tie. And of course, if we beat Bayern, we then have either Madrid or City, which, yeah, fill that in for yourself. It's not really that easy to get through there. We haven't really got the easiest draw in the Champions League, but I mean, it's the Champions League, right? So you want to play against the best teams, I guess. But yeah, I think that are mostly the positive and negatives I can think about in the Champions League play in a home and away game first. Let me know in the comments what your opinions are. Would you like to play home first in the Champions League or away first in the Champions League? I think against Porto, we played away first and we lost 1-0, and then we played home and we won 1-0, right? So we drew and then we won, of course, on penalties. But yeah, as I said, I think if you can get those 2 goal difference, I think that might be a big difference in the next game. So I think a first game at home isn't all that negative. So if you are worrying about it, I don't know, let me know in the comments what you think and your opinions are Arsenal fans. And yeah, thank you for watching to this video. Let's see if we can win against Bayern Munich.